Dramily.com, unlimited drama series.
I spent 3 hours cooking that Valentine's dinner. 3 goddamn hours making Jessica's favorite beef Wellington, roasted vegetables, and that fancy chocolate souffle she always raved about when we went to expensive restaurants I couldn't afford. The dining room looked perfect. Candles flickering, wine breathing, our best china gleaming under the soft light. That's when she walked through the front door with him. "Oh God, Mike, what is all this?" Jessica wrinkled her nose like I'd served her roadkill. Behind her stood Ethan Morrison, that slick real estate broker with his perfectly styled hair and his smug smile. "I told you we had a business dinner tonight." No, she hadn't. But I just stood there in my apron, wine glass halfway to my lips, watching my wife of 16 years look at me like I was some pathetic fool. "Real men don't waste time cooking," Ethan said, loosening his tie as he surveyed my handiwork. "They make reservations." Jessica laughed. Actually laughed. "Mike's always been domestic." Ah. I set down the wine glass very carefully. The sound of crystal touching wood seemed to echo in the sudden silence. "Domestic," I repeated slowly. "Don't be dramatic," Jessica said, already heading upstairs. "We'll grab something downtown. Clean this up, will you?" That's when I knew. Not suspected. Knew. The way she didn't meet my eyes. The way Ethan's hand brushed her lower back as they passed me. The way she said "we," like it was the most natural thing in the world. I smiled and nodded. "Sure, honey, you two have fun." After they left, I sat at that perfectly set table and ate my beef Wellington alone. It was delicious. But with every bite, I was planning. You see, I'm Mike Sullivan, 42 years old, owner of Sullivan Security Solutions. I install alarm systems, security cameras, and surveillance equipment for half the businesses in this town. I know how people hide their secrets, and I know how to uncover them. The next morning, I was installing a new camera system at Morrison Real Estate when I noticed Ethan's computer was still logged in. Careless, while he was schmoozing clients in the conference room, I plugged in a tiny USB device, the kind I used to back up security footage. Within an hour, I had copies of every email, every text, every dirty little secret on his hard drive. The affair had been going on for 8 months. 8 months of lies, of Jessica working late, of business trips that weren't business at all. The motel receipts were all there, charged to a credit card I'd never seen before. The Sleepy Inn on Route 9, a real classy joint with hourly rates, but the texts were what really got to me. Not just the sex talk, though that was bad enough. It was the way they laughed about me, called me the handyman, and Jessica's little project. Ethan had written, "When are you going to dump the loser and move in with a real man?" Jessica's response, "Soon. The girls are almost old enough to choose where they want to live. Mike won't fight it. He's too weak, too weak. We'd see about that." I printed everything and put it in a folder marked evidence. Then I drove to the Sleepy Inn. The desk clerk was a kid, maybe 19, with acne scars and dead eyes. $20 got me the information that yes, Mr. Morrison and Miss Sullivan came by every Tuesday and Friday afternoon. Room 237. They always requested the same room. "She tips real good," the kid added. "Always says to keep the room clean for next time." I thanked him and walked to my truck. Sitting in the parking lot of that seedy motel, looking up at room 237, something cold settled in my chest. Not anger, that would come later. This was calculation, pure, methodical planning. Jessica wanted a real man? She was about to find out what one looked like when he stopped playing nice. The thing about being in the security business is that you learn patience. You watch, you wait, you document everything. I started with Jessica's phone. She'd been careless lately, leaving it unlocked while she showered or cooked dinner. A quick installation of tracking software, and I could see everywhere she went, every call she made, every text she sent. Tuesday afternoon, I watched the little dot that represented my wife's phone move from her law office to the Sleepy Inn. I was parked across the street when Ethan's silver BMW pulled up. He got out first, looking around nervously. Then Jessica emerged from her Honda, wearing a red dress I'd bought her for our anniversary last year. They were in that room for 2 hours and 17 minutes. I took photos with a telephoto lens, not of anything graphic, just them entering and leaving together. Documentation, evidence, the foundation of my case. But I wanted more than just proof of the affair. I wanted to understand the full scope of their betrayal. That's when I discovered Monica. Monica Chen was Jessica's best friend since law school, a successful real estate agent who worked in the same building as Ethan. She was also, according to the text messages I'd intercepted, the mastermind behind this whole thing. "You deserve so much better than Mike," she'd written to Jessica 6 months ago. "Ethan's perfect for you, successful, ambitious, everything Mike isn't." "I don't know," Jessica had replied. "The girls love their father. They'll adjust. Kids are resilient. Besides, do you want them growing up thinking this is what marriage looks like? You settling for some blue-collar nobody?" Blue-collar nobody. That stung more than I cared to admit. The messages continued for weeks, Monica slowly poisoning Jessica against me, encouraging the affair, even helping them coordinate their meetings. She'd covered for Jessica at social events, created alibis, and according to one particularly damning exchange, she'd been the one to suggest the Sleepy Inn. "It's perfect," Monica had texted. "No one from our circle would ever go there. Mike's too trusting to follow you anyway." Too trusting. There was that word again. Weak, trusting, pathetic. They really had me figured out, didn't they? Friday afternoon, I decided to pay the Sleepy Inn another visit. This time, I brought my professional equipment, a high-end camera with a zoom lens and a digital recorder. I wasn't planning anything illegal, just gathering more evidence for what was coming. I was setting up in my truck when I saw Monica's red Lexus pull into the parking lot. She wasn't alone. A man I didn't recognize was with her. Tall, dark-haired, expensive suit. They went into room 184. Interesting. Monica was married to David Chen, a successful accountant. Apparently, she was taking her own advice about finding someone better. I was so focused on photographing Monica's indiscretion that I almost missed Jessica's Honda arriving. But there it was, pulling up to the usual spot. Ethan's BMW was already there. For a moment, I just sat there, watching my wife walk into that motel room with her lover, while her best friend cheated on her own husband 3 doors down. The sheer brazenness of it was almost impressive. That's when my phone buzzed with a text from Jessica. "Working late tonight. Don't wait up." I laughed out loud. Actually laughed, sitting alone in my truck in a motel parking lot. The sound was bitter and strange, even to my own ears. I texted back, "No problem. Love you." She responded with a heart emoji. A heart emoji. While she was literally walking into a motel room with another man. I started the truck and drove home to our empty house. Emily and Sophie were at their grandmother's for the weekend. Jessica's mother had insisted on taking them to Boston for some cultural event. Perfect timing, really. It gave me the weekend to plan. In my home office, I spread out all the evidence I'd gathered. Photos, printed text messages, credit card statements, phone records. It looked like something from a detective show, all connected with red string and pushpins. But I wasn't just documenting an affair anymore. I was building a case for total destruction. Jessica wanted to leave me for a real man? Fine. But she wasn't going to walk away with half of everything I'd worked for. She wasn't going to turn my daughters against me, and she sure as hell wasn't going to do it while laughing about what a pathetic fool I was. I opened my laptop and started researching. Divorce law in Massachusetts, asset protection, child custody guidelines. I had some reading to do. By Sunday night, I had a plan. Not just for exposing the affair, but for systematically dismantling the network of lies and betrayal that had been built around me. First, I needed allies, people in this town who could help spread the word when the time came. Fortunately, I'd been installing security systems for local businesses for 12 years. I knew everyone. Monday morning, I started at Murphy's Gym, where I'd been boxing since high school. Red Murphy, the owner, was a 70-year-old ex-Marine who'd seen everything and judged nothing unless you crossed someone he cared about. "Mike," he said as I walked in, "you look like hell." "Feel worse," I admitted, wrapping my hands for the heavy bag. "Can I ask you something, Red?" "Shoot. If someone betrayed you, someone you trusted completely, how would you handle it?" Red studied my face for a long moment. "Depend." "We talking about business or personal?" "Personal, very personal." He nodded slowly. "Well, son, There's the high road and the low road. High road's probably better for your soul. But sometimes, he shrugged. Sometimes a man's got to make sure the people who wronged him understand the consequences. I spent an hour pounding the heavy bag, imagining Ethan's smug face with every punch. Red didn't ask questions, just held the bag steady and let me work out my rage. Next stop was Dave's Electronics, where my buddy Dave Kowalski managed the store. Dave and I had known each other since elementary school. He was the kind of guy who knew everyone's business and wasn't shy about sharing it. I need a favor, I told him, browsing through the latest surveillance equipment. Name it. I need you to spread some information when the time comes. Nothing illegal, nothing that isn't true. Just make sure the right people hear the right things. Dave raised an eyebrow. This about Jessica? I need a rinu de tum. I do wait on, when I kaya. And was mit your job at anvend, kjoltingding, mini dussenduring. You're the only one who didn't know. The words hit me like a physical blow. Half the town knew? While I was cooking romantic dinners and planning anniversary surprises, everyone else was watching my wife make a fool of me? How long? I asked quietly. Couple months, maybe more. Look, I'm sorry, man. I should have said something, but what? Dave looked uncomfortable. But you seemed happy, and sometimes it's better not to know, you know? Better not to know. Another way of saying I was too weak to handle the truth. Well, now I know, I said. And when this all comes out, I want to make sure it comes out right. Can I count on you? Absolutely. My third stop was the most important, Flanagan's Pub, where Jules Flanagan held court behind the bar every night. Jules was an ex-cop who'd retired after taking a bullet in the line of duty. Now he served drinks and collected gossip like some people collect stamps. Sullivan, he said as I walked in. Little early for you, isn't it? Just wanted to talk, I said, taking a seat at the bar. You hear things, Jules. You know what's going on in this town. I hear lots of things. Most of it bullshit. What about Jessica and Ethan Morrison? Jules stopped wiping down glasses. Ah, hell, Mike. I was hoping someone else would tell you. Tell me what? They've been coming in here. Not together, but together, if you know what I mean. Meeting for drinks, then leaving separately but heading in the same direction. He leaned across the bar. I'm sorry, buddy. I really am. Don't be sorry, I said. Be ready. Ready for what? For the biggest story this town's seen in years. I spent the rest of the week gathering more intelligence. I followed Monica to her lunch meetings, documenting her own affair with the mysterious businessman, who turned out to be Richard Hawthorne, a married developer from Boston. I tracked Jessica's movements, noting every lie she told about where she was going and what she was doing. But the real breakthrough came when I hacked into Monica's email account. It wasn't hard. She used the same password for everything, and I'd seen her type it in at a coffee shop months ago. What I found in her messages was pure gold. Monica hadn't just encouraged Jessica's affair, she'd orchestrated it. The emails went back almost a year, starting with subtle suggestions that Jessica deserved better than me. Then came the introduction to Ethan at a real estate conference. Monica had literally set them up, knowing exactly what would happen. But why? What did Monica get out of destroying my marriage? The answer was in an email thread with her sister in California. Once Jessica's divorced, she'll be desperate for a change. I've already talked to the partners at her firm about opening a West Coast office. She'll jump at the chance to relocate, and I can finally buy her house. It's perfect for what Richard and I have planned. Richard Hawthorne, the married developer Monica was sleeping with. They wanted Jessica's house, our house, for some development project. The whole affair was just a real estate scheme. My wife's marriage was being destroyed so Monica could make a profit. I printed out every email, every text, every piece of evidence I'd gathered. Then I organized it all into neat folders, labeled and indexed like a legal brief. Jessica always said I wasn't ambitious enough, wasn't smart enough to play in her league. She was about to find out how wrong she was. The opportunity came on a Thursday night. Jessica was supposedly at a bar association meeting, but I knew she was really at the Sleepy Inn with Ethan. The girls were at soccer practice. I had the house to myself and a plan that had been weeks in the making. First, I called Jessica's office and left a message with her assistant. This is Mike Sullivan. Please tell my wife that Emily had an accident at soccer practice and we're at Memorial Hospital. She should come immediately. Then I called Ethan's office and left a similar message. This is Dave Kowalski from the electronics store. We have a break-in in progress at Morrison Real Estate. Police are on the way, but you should get here now. Both lies. Both guaranteed to get them running in opposite directions. away from their romantic evening and into a panic about their respective responsibilities. I drove to the sleepy inn and waited. Jessica arrived first, her Honda screeching into the parking lot. She jumped out and ran to room 237, pounding on the door. When no one answered, she used her key. Apparently, they'd gotten that comfortable with their arrangement. I watched her discover the empty room, saw her pull out her phone and start dialing frantically. First Ethan, then the hospital, then Emily's cell phone. Each call would tell her the same thing. There was no emergency, no accident, no break-in. But there was me, walking across the parking lot toward her. Looking for someone, I called out. Jessica spun around, her face going white when she saw me. Mike? How did you know about this place? I held up a folder thick with photographs and documents. I know about a lot of things, Jess. Want to see? She tried to run, but I was faster. Not to hurt her. I'd never lay a hand on my wife, no matter what she'd done to me. But I wasn't going to.
It was one time at the company retreat.
Your coworker posted a photo. You're wearing this shirt.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
Let her escape without hearing what I had to say. 16 years, I said, blocking her path to the car. 16 years of marriage, and this is what it comes to. A sleazy motel room and lies about bar association meetings. You don't understand, she said, tears starting to flow. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. I opened the folder and showed her the photographs. Every Tuesday and Friday for 8 months. Room 237. Always the same room. The desk clerk knows you by name, Jessica. You tip him to keep the room clean for your next visit. Her face crumpled. Mike, please what? Please pretend I don't know? Please keep being the pathetic, trusting husband while you and your friends laugh about what a loser I am? I pulled out the printed text messages. Blue-collar nobody. That's what Monica called me. And you agreed. I never said that. No, you just laughed when she said it. You just went along with her plan to destroy our marriage so she could buy our house for her married boyfriend. Jessica's eyes widened. What are you talking about? I showed her Monica's emails, watched her read about the real estate scheme, the West Coast job offer, the systematic manipulation that had led to this moment. She played you, I said simply. Used your ambition and your dissatisfaction to turn you into a cheater, and you let her. That's not. Monica's been screwing Richard Hawthorne for 6 months. Same motel, different room. Want to see those pictures too? The fight went out of her then. Jessica sank down on the concrete steps outside room 237. Her expensive dress wrinkled, her makeup running. What do you want? She whispered. I want you to understand something, I said, sitting down beside her. You think I'm weak? You think I'm some pathetic loser who doesn't deserve respect? You're about to learn different. That's when Ethan's BMW came roaring into the parking lot. He jumped out of the car, his perfect hair disheveled, his tie askew. Jessica, what the hell is going on? I got a call about a break-in, but the police said he stopped when he saw me. Oh, shit. Hello, Ethan, I said pleasantly. Fancy meeting you here. Look, Mike, this isn't what it looks like. Really. Because it looks like you're screwing my wife in a motel room while telling her what a worthless husband she has. Ethan's face flushed red. Now wait just a minute. No, you wait. I stood up, and something in my voice made him take a step back. You want to know what a real man does when someone betrays him? He doesn't just get mad, he gets even. And he makes sure everyone knows exactly who they're dealing with. I pulled out my phone and showed them both the screen. It was open to my Facebook page, with a post already typed but not yet published. The post included several of the motel photos and a detailed timeline of the affair. One click, I said. One click and everyone we know, your clients, your colleagues, your families, sees exactly what kind of people you are. You can't do that, Jessica said desperately. My career. Your career? I laughed, and the sound was harsh in the motel parking lot. What about my marriage? What about my kids? What about the 16 years I spent believing in you? Mike, please, Ethan said. We can work this out. I'll end it with Jessica. I'll transfer to another office. You'll do whatever I tell you to do, I said quietly. Both of you. Because if you don't, this story goes public in a very big way. And that's when I heard the car doors slamming. I turned to see Monica getting out of her red Lexus, followed by a tall man in an expensive suit. Richard Hawthorne, I presumed. Jessica, Monica called out, I got your message. What's the emergency? I smiled. Hello, Monica. Perfect timing. Monica froze when she saw me standing there with the folder of evidence. Richard Hawthorne looked confused, but he was about to get educated. Mike, Monica said carefully, what are you doing here? Funny thing, I said, pulling out another set of photographs. I was about to ask you the same question. You and Mr. Hawthorne here have been frequent guests at this establishment. Room 184, if I'm not mistaken. Richard's face went pale. Who is this guy, Monica? He's Jessica's husband, Monica said quietly. And you're Richard Hawthorne, I continued. Married to Patricia Hawthorne of Beacon Hill, father of 2 teenage daughters. Interesting that you're here with Monica instead of at home with your family. Now see here, Richard started, but I cut him off. No, you see here, all of you. I opened the folder wide, spreading photographs and documents across the hood of Ethan's BMW. This is what a real investigation looks like. Not just pictures of people sneaking around, but the whole story. The emails, the texts, the financial records, the real estate schemes. Monica's face was white as she saw her own emails printed out and highlighted. You can't have gotten those legally. Prove it, I said simply. Take me to court. Let a judge decide whether your privacy was violated when you destroyed my marriage as part of a real estate scam. That's not what this was, Monica protested. No? Then explain this. I pulled out the email where she'd discussed buying Jessica's house for Richard's development project. Explain how you systematically turned my wife against me so you could profit from our divorce. Jessica was staring at Monica with a look of dawning horror. You planned this? All of it? Jess, you don't understand. I understand perfectly, Jessica said, her voice rising. You used me. You destroyed my marriage so you could make money with your married boyfriend. That's not how it was. Then how was it? I asked. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you manipulated a vulnerable woman into throwing away her family for your financial benefit. Richard was backing toward his car. I don't know what kind of game this is, but I'm not playing. Oh, but you are playing, I said, pulling out my phone again. Patricia Hawthorne, right? Your wife? I have her phone number. Should I give her a call? Let her know where you've been spending your Thursday nights? No, enough tamats. He stopped moving. That's what I thought. I turned back to the group. Here's how this is going to work. You're all going to sit down and listen while I explain exactly what's going to happen next. There was a picnic table near the motel office, probably left over from when this place pretended to be a family establishment. I gestured toward it. Sit. They sat. Even Richard, who clearly wanted to be anywhere else in the world. First, I said, the affairs end. Tonight, all of them. Jessica, you're going to call Ethan tomorrow morning and tell him you never want to see him again. Ethan, you're going to accept that gracefully and find a new hobby. Monica, you're going to do the same with Richard here. You can't dictate, Monica started. Second, I continued, ignoring her. You're all going to start telling the truth. Jessica, you're going to explain to Emily and Sophie exactly why Mommy and Daddy are getting divorced. No lies about growing apart or wanting different things. You're going to tell them you had an affair and destroyed the marriage. I won't traumatize my children. Our children. And they're already traumatized. They know something's wrong. Emily's been posting on social media about how weird things are at home. At least this way they'll know it's not their fault. Jessica's face crumpled again, but I wasn't done. Third, Monica, you're going to confess to your husband about your affair, tonight. And you're going to explain your little real estate scheme to everyone at Jessica's law firm. That would ruin my career. Should have thought of that before you ruined my marriage. Fourth, I said, turning to Richard. You're going to withdraw from whatever development project you had planned for our neighborhood. And you're going to tell your wife about Monica. This is blackmail, Richard said. No, this is consequences, I replied. Blackmail would be if I demanded money or favors. I'm not asking for anything except honesty. And if we don't agree, Ethan asked. I held up my phone again. Then tomorrow morning, everyone in town wakes up to a very interesting story, complete with photos, documents, and a detailed timeline of who did what to whom. Your choice. Nothing. The silence stretched out for a long moment. A car drove by on Route 9, its headlights briefly illuminating our strange little gathering. Oh, fine. Finally, Jessica spoke. What about us, Mike? What about our marriage? Real knowledge norms of parst. What about us, Mike? What about our marriage? Mullets nom bien. I looked at her, really looked at her, for the first time in months. She was still beautiful, Still the woman I'd fallen in love with in college. But something was gone, something that could never be replaced. There is no us, I said quietly. There's no marriage left to save. You made that choice when you decided I wasn't good enough for you. I never said that. You didn't have to. Every lie you told, every secret meeting, every time you looked at me like I was some kind of burden you had to endure, that said it all. I closed the folder and stood up. You have 24 hours to start making your confessions. After that, the story goes public whether you cooperate or not. I started walking toward my truck, then turned back. Oh, and Jessica? I'm keeping the house. You can find somewhere else to live while we work out the divorce. I suggest you start looking tonight. The next 3 weeks were the most satisfying of my life. Jessica moved in with her mother, leaving me and the girls to figure out our new normal. It was awkward at first. Emily was angry at both of us. Sophie was confused and sad, but kids are resilient, and they adapted faster than I expected. More importantly, they got to hear the truth from Jessica herself. She sat them down and explained, through tears, that she'd made terrible choices and hurt people she loved. She didn't try to blame me or make excuses. For the first time in months, she acted like the woman I'd married. Monica's confession to her husband went about as well as expected. David Chen filed for divorce within a week and froze all their joint accounts. Monica's real estate license was suspended pending an ethics investigation, and she was fired from her firm. Richard Hawthorne's wife, Patricia, turned out to be a formidable woman who didn't take betrayal lightly. She filed for divorce and hired the most vicious attorney in Boston. Richard lost his development company, his house on Beacon Hill, and his reputation in one spectacular legal battle. Ethan Morrison simply disappeared, packed up his office one night, and left town without telling anyone where he was going. His BMW was repossessed a week later, but the real victory came on Valentine's Day. The town was holding its annual winter festival in the park, complete with ice sculptures, hot chocolate, and a dance in the community center. I'd been dreading it. Last year, Jessica and I had won the couple's dance contest. This year, I went alone. I was standing by the ice sculpture display, watching Emily and Sophie play with their friends, when Jules Flanagan walked up with 2 cups of hot chocolate. "Hell of a thing," he said, handing me a cup. "What's that?" "The whole mess with your wife and that Morrison character. Word is Monica Chen orchestrated the whole thing for some real estate deal." I sipped the hot chocolate and didn't respond. I'd never confirmed or denied the rumors that had been circulating since the affairs became public. I didn't need to. The truth had a way of spreading all by itself. "You know what I heard?" Jules continued. "I heard Monica's working at a Starbucks in Worcester now. Minimum wage, no benefits." "Huh," I said. "And that developer fellow, Hawthorne, his wife took him for everything. He's living in a studio apartment in Somerville, driving a 10-year-old Honda." "Interesting." Jules grinned. "You're not going to give me anything, are you?" "Nothing to give," I said. "Sometimes people just get what they deserve." That's when I saw her. Jessica was standing by the entrance to the community center, wearing the red dress she'd worn to the motel that night. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. When she saw me, she walked over slowly. "Mike," she said quietly. "Jessica, the girls look happy." I glanced over at Emily and Sophie, who were laughing with their friends around the hot chocolate stand. "They're doing okay. I signed the divorce papers today." "I know. My lawyer called." She was quiet for a moment. Then, "I'm sorry, for all of it. You didn't deserve what I did to you." "No," I agreed. "I didn't." "Is there any chance?" "No." She nodded, tears starting to form in her eyes. "I know. I had to ask." "You made your choice, Jess. You chose to believe Monica when she said I wasn't good enough. You chose to sneak around with Ethan instead of talking to me about whatever was wrong in our marriage. You chose to lie to our children and humiliate me in front of the whole town." "I know. Those were your choices. Now you get to live with the consequences." She stood there for another moment, then walked away. I watched her get in her Honda and drive off, probably back to her mother's house, where she was living now. Jules whistled low. "Cold, Sullivan. Ice cold." "She wanted a real man," I said, finishing my hot chocolate. "She got one." The festival continued around us, families and couples enjoying the winter evening. My daughters ran up, faces flushed with excitement, begging for money to buy cookies from the bake sale. I gave them each a $10 bill and watched them run off again, happy and carefree despite everything that had happened. Red Murphy appeared at my elbow. "How you holding up, champ?" "Better than expected. I said honestly. Good. You know, there's something to be said for a man who stands up for himself. Yeah? Yeah. Takes strength to fight back when people think you're weak. Takes real character to make sure the truth comes out. I thought about that as I watched my daughters play with their friends, as I listened to the music from the community center, as I felt the cold February air on my face. Jessica had called me weak, pathetic, not good enough. Monica had called me a blue-collar nobody. Ethan had implied I wasn't a real man. They were all wrong. A real man doesn't let people walk all over him. A real man fights for what's his. A real man makes sure that when someone betrays him, they understand exactly what that betrayal cost them. I'd lost my wife, but I'd kept my house, my children, and my self-respect. More importantly, I'd made sure that everyone who'd conspired against me paid a price for their betrayal. Monica lost her career, her marriage, and her comfortable lifestyle. Richard lost his business, his family, and his reputation. Ethan lost his nerve and ran like a coward. And Jessica lost the security and love she'd taken for granted. As for me, I was free. Free from a marriage built on lies. Free from people who thought I was beneath them. Free from pretending to be something I wasn't. The winter festival wound down around 10 o'clock. I collected Emily and Sophie, both exhausted and happy, and drove them home to the house that was now truly ours. As I tucked Sophie into bed, she asked, "Daddy, are you sad about Mommy?" "A little," I said honestly. "But mostly I'm proud of how strong and brave you and your sister have been. Are we going to be okay?" I kissed her forehead. "We're going to be better than okay, sweetheart. We're going to be just fine." And we were.